Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power. It's an online, free, private group for women. There's a huge disconnect between what we go after and what we really want. Let's move forward. Join Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power. Do you sometimes feel unfulfilled and confused about your purpose? You don't have to go it alone. Come on over to the No Judgment Zone where you're going to connect with other like minded women from all over the world and receive support from others who have been through similar situations. Everyone has a story. What's your story? Seeking guest speakers. Do you have a story, talent, or ability that you would love to share? We invite you to be our guest. Hello and welcome to Her Story, Our Story. My name is Stephanie Wall. They call me Speaker Stephanie. I am the CEO and founder of Speaker Stephanie LLC and the founder of Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power, and the founder of 1 million lives transformed, where we transform lives, relationships, and finances. The goal is for every woman, every person to transform their lives. I particularly super serve those women who've experienced trauma in their lives. Welcome to Her Story, Our Story. Remember, you belong here. You belong there. You belong everywhere. Be sure to shine your light. My name is Stephanie Wall, and I'm certainly getting it all. Come on in.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Her Story, Our Story. My name is Hope Jackson, founder of Always Hope, and my purpose and goal is to help women to unlock what is hidden inside them. I know from experience that sometimes in life when you're going through dark times, you don't realize the purpose that you have inside of you. So my goal is to help you to find that, and just to remind you that no matter what you go through in life, there is always hope.
Well, y'all know I found my paddles. Welcome to Her Story, Our Story, 1 hour of power. I am the transformation architect, Dr. Stephanie, Speaker Stephanie, you name it. I am, look, Kanara, Davon, and KJ's mom, but Kurt Wall's wife. Hey, Hope, what's going on? What you got going? What you got?
Hey there, Stephanie. It's another day. Ready to bring that fire. We got another guest coming in tonight, so...
Oh my gosh, let me tell you something. I had already went live everywhere. Now, of course, I'm still mad at y'all that watch me on that live with that lipstick on my teeth. And none of y'all my real friends. And none of y'all my real friends because you ain't telling me. So, but look, the tip, let me give y'all a tip, which I didn't do before I came on there. When you put on red lipstick or any other lipstick, put some Vaseline on your teeth. That will keep you from having lipstick on your teeth. How do I know? My good girlfriend Gloria had to tell me because I was always doing it. Anywho, I can't wait to bring Dr. Marie Cosgrove on here because you all listen. All I know is, all I keep saying is, she bought the company that fired her. You have been fired? I haven't. It was a shame. I begged for that job, y'all. I begged for that job. And I'm so glad that they didn't kidnap all these black women tears because I would be still at that dead end job. But anyway, Hope, I want you to open this up in decency and order and then bring on up our guests. I cannot wait for you guys to hear from Dr. Cosgrove.
Good evening, everyone. And again, welcome to Her Story, Our Story. First and foremost, we're going to give honor to God. So Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity just to connect with one another, to do whatever it is that you want us to do tonight, Lord. We just hope that someone hears something tonight from our guests, just to help them to transform their mind and just to realize that there's always an opportunity to do something different. So Lord Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for everyone that will be watching us either live or on the replay. And we just thank you again for your continuous grace and mercy over our lives. And all these things we ask in your mighty and precious name. Amen.
Amen. So, well, Hope, I want you to go ahead and are you going to do the intro or that? Well, not the intro. Read the bio. We're gonna give you a little snippet, but then we're gonna bring Dr. Cosgrove up because I know y'all are dying. I know you like, girl, don't bring that paddle. You know I'm ready to give her all this business. So I'm gonna pop back out so Hope can give y'all do the intro and we can get our guest up here.
All right, everyone, bringing to the stage, we have Dr. Marie Cosgrove. She is an award-winning international speaker, an accomplished entrepreneur, and author. Marie has worked with some of the most recognizable Fortune 500 companies, including FedEx and Sprint. Today, she currently owns a company that develops and designs and manufactures diagnostic treatment devices to help doctors treat patients like her mom, who've had traumatic brain injuries and concussions. And you heard Stephanie say it before, the company that fired her, she bought it. So I am ready, and I know you all are ready to hear all about Dr. Cosgrove and how she went from a childhood of living in poverty to buying a company who fired her. So let's bring her on up to the stage so we can hear all about it. Welcome, Dr. Cosgrove.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here with you.
So thank you for your yes, Dr. Cosgrove. I cannot wait. Listen, I'm chomping at the bits. I done read over and over the bio this morning, and I was like, listen, I didn't already came up. Look, my jacket. I didn't came up my jacket because I got warm just reading because I just cannot wait to get into it. So one, I'm going to pop back out because Hope is going to ask you, do you have your 6-word story, your 5-word story, or just give us 5 words or 6 words that describe what it is you do without giving us the whole scoop. And then if you have an item that's around you that you can share or you can tell us about that means a lot to you, and then tell us what that thing is, and Hope will give you more details.
Sure. Honored to do that. I am a resilience expert, and I help women achieve resiliency when they're faced with adversity. And throughout life, we are all faced with adversity and challenges. And so that is what I do, is I help women deal with challenges and adversities and overcome.
Well, thank you for that. That was great. So you're a resilient expert, and your goal is to help women to overcome anything that's pretty much holding them back and helping them to bounce back, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So do you have an item, or would you like to tell us about an item that means something to you and just explain what it is?
Well, I have a book that I just wrote. It's called A Greater Fortune, Essential Lessons from the Entrepreneur Who Bought the Company That Fired Her. That means a lot to me because I've worked on it everything that I've learned from being fired to buying the company that fired me, being born to mentally disabled single mom. All of these things, years and years of experience, are in this book, and that means a lot to me. And it's available anywhere books are sold. But it's called Greater Fortune, Essential Lessons from the Entrepreneur Who Bought the Company That Fired Her.
That's powerful, and I really can't wait to hear more about that, because I know personally I have been fired from a job, so I would love that would be sweet to just go back and buy the company, but I would love to hear more about how that all transpired. So
The people want to know, because everybody wants, why, if you don't mind sharing, why were you fired?
Well, I was fired because I made too much money. They said I was earning too much in commissions, and that is the reason why I was let go.
Too much money. You know what? You was making, look, they wanted you just to be here. So what was it, the boys club? You were making too much money, or was it the boss you was making too much? Which one was it?
So it was interesting because I was doing really well, single mom with 4 kids. dad lost parental rights due to domestic violence. And I got a call from one of the executives, and he says, I'm going to meet with you and take you out to dinner. So I was really excited because I thought, wow, I'm going to get a promotion or something. Obviously they're very proud of the work that I'm doing, and they want to recognize that. So I called all my friends, and I was actually kind of bragging, like, this something big is going to happen today. We went out to dinner, and I was told, you're doing such a great job. We're really proud of you, and you're the top rep. So all of these accolades and all these words of affirmation were being poured out on me. And so then he passes over a piece of paper, and I look at it and I'm expecting something grand, like maybe a partnership, maybe a raise, maybe, having a higher position in the company. So when I opened it, my heart sank because it was an offer, and the offer was to get paid a salary that was a lot less than what I was making on a monthly basis. And they didn't understand that at this time, I'm a single mom with 4 kids. I had to travel all over with my kids, with a nanny. They didn't understand all the expenses I had. So I couldn't take that offer. So I said, I can't accept this. I'll just stay with the arrangements we have now. And when I said that, they said, you don't understand. There is no other option. You either take this or we have to let you go. And I couldn't take that because I had a nanny, and I had to travel with my kids. I didn't have a support system or anywhere to leave my kids. I wasn't getting child support. And the amount of money they were offering me, which was $150,000 a year, which may seem like a lot of money, but when you're traveling all over the country with 4 kids and a nanny, it's not a lot of money. And I understand employers, they don't get involved in your personal life. Me as an employer, I have an open door, but I understand how corporate America works. So I didn't accept that, and it was heartbreaking because they let me go, and they said the only reason you're doing so well is because it's a great product, and we can sell it without you. It has nothing to do with you. So I was let go.
I wanted to know. So you went back, and so there's 2 things I want to know. Before I answer this first question, I got to ask you this other one, because you touched on a little bit. You talked about domestic violence. Everybody has a story, and Dr. Sherwood says, that our story is about us, but it's not for us. And this is her story, our story, 1 hour power. And one of the reasons that it was created in the first place is because we realized there's so many women like us that have stories, but many of us were able to get on the other side of our story and still become our super bad in our own right. But there are other people that's so stuck in their story because they think they're the only ones that are experiencing that story. It's that shame and blame. So I'm bringing all kinds of amazing women on here who already are powerful in their own right, who also have stories to share so that you can tell them a bit of your story to help them to release theirs. So I would love for you to tell me, before you were Dr. Marie Cosgrove, before you were this powerhouse that you are now, who were you and what was it that you overcame and how'd you overcome it?
Sure. So I was a very insecure woman, and even as a little girl, I was very insecure. I didn't feel like I had any value or any purpose in life. I was born to a mentally disabled single mom. She was in a car accident, and it caused permanent brain damage. In fact, she was in a coma for many, many months, and they were going to pull the plug. And the day before they pulled the plug, she had to learn how to open she opened her eyes. She had to learn how to walk, talk, and do everything all over again. During recovery, she was raped, and that rape resulted in pregnancy, which resulted in my birth. But growing up without a father, growing up in this shameful experience that my mom went through, and being told that I would not ever amount to anything, that I was just a bastard child, and not fortunately I had family members that were amazing, but I had family members who did not value me as a person and would tell me these horrific things that I believed, and I internalized them. And along with my mom's mental illness, because they didn't know how to treat that, which is why I'm passionate about the work I do now with Balance Back as a manufacturing company, where we manufacture devices to help patients with concussion, traumatic brain injuries like my mom suffered. But anyway, she had schizophrenia because of the medications she was on. And every time they would switch the medications, it would get worse. So I grew up with experiencing some horrific experiences that no child should ever go through. And she didn't have a moral compass. So her door was like a revolving door with men coming in and out, orgies, and all kinds of experiences that no adult should be going through, much less a child. And she exposed me to that. So growing up, I didn't feel that I had value. I didn't feel I had worth. I felt like I didn't belong. You know, in the 70s, I was born in 1970. And in that time period, having a child out of wedlock was a shameful thing in the community I grew up in. So we didn't talk about it. So I grew up in a small community. I went to school. I didn't know anybody who didn't have a mom and a dad. Nowadays, I know it's more common as single parent households, but it wasn't back then. So I was the only kid. And I remember kids saying, I can't play with you. My mom said, I can't talk to you because your mom's crazy. They didn't realize she had brain damage. And I understand that, you don't want your child going to some household where the mom is, not all there. But as a child, and from a child's eyes, that hurt a lot. And I took that personally, as maybe there was something wrong with me as well. So I grew up without any self-confidence. I felt a lot of shame. Then when I got older, I moved from household to household, and I was raped by a family member. The family member was not a member through blood. It was through marriage, but nonetheless, a family member. And that devastated me, that I went through a big, big depression. And then I got married very young. It was a domestic violence situation. And I say I have blame in that. And the blame is that I knew that it wasn't the right relationship for me. But my intuition told me this wasn't right. But my self-confidence issues told me that who would love me? Nobody's going to love me. And so then the abuse happened, and all these words that were told to me were repeats of me, what was told to me growing up, that I believed these lies. And I was pregnant with my third child, and the beatings were so bad that the doctor called women together. They put me in a shelter, got me help, and I got full custody of all my kids. He lost parental rights. And then I repeated the same cycle. I was involved in the church, and somebody said, this man will be good for you. And my heart told me no, but I listened to everybody else because I thought everybody else knows more. What do I know? I got married, had one child, and that ended right away because he abused my kids in unimaginable ways. And that pain, I can't express that pain in words, because that hurt more than all the pain that I went through as a child. Nothing hurt more than that. And that was difficult for me. So by the time I was 27, I was a single mom with 4 kids, and both dads lost parental rights. The one that I had with the one, and then the other 4. So all my 4 kids are little. And I decided, never again. I said, no one will ever, ever put a hand on my children. Ever. And at that point, I just focused on my work and focused on taking care of them. And that's why I did very well in the job that I did. Because I was passionate about making sure that I was going to be able to support my children any way I knew how. And number 2 is I was providing a service to doctors to help their patients. And I thought, if these doctors can help patients like my mom, then people don't have to go through what I went through with my mom. And so that was the passion that I had behind me, which the company that had fired me, they didn't know that. They didn't know my story. They didn't know what I had gone through. And I understand that's not their responsibility, but that was what was going on in the background and why I was doing so well and why I decided to make that change. That was a pivotal moment for me.
Dr. Maria, tell me, and thank you for sharing that, because listen, I know as a victor of domestic violence myself that it, no matter how many years or how much time passes by, is certain parts, particularly of your story, and particularly when it involves your children, that invokes like emotion, just like it just opens that wound up like it's going, like it happened today. So
Mhm.
as you were speaking, I was going, come on, because I was like, oh, I know, I feel her. I could feel it. I could feel it through the camera. So know that my prayer, I just started praying because I knew, and know that I know the hurt and the shame and the blame, and even to date, I know that you still hear from people like, wow, I would have laughed. Here's the deal. You often will hear, I would never let anybody put their hands on me. I would never let, but what I found that individuals that say that, they may not allow a person to physically touch them, but they will allow someone to do, which is something that's even worse, which is emotionally and psychologically and spiritually emasculate them, right? They will allow someone to treat them horribly. They would take those things, they will allow those things, because in their mind that is not domestic abuse. But just my PSA for the moment, humans, any abuse, look, anything that does not feel like love in the sense of the way that makes you feel great about yourself, make you feel loved, make you feel inspired, if it's any of those things that make you feel less than a human, it's not love, period, point blank. And you do not and should not tolerate it. And there you go. I've said it, and you're going to hear me say it over and over again. So I thank you for sharing that truth. But I must ask you, did you, so what is the type, so the company that, tell us a little bit more about your company. And then I want to know, when you went back and you bought the company that fired you, did you fire the person that fired you?
No, I didn't fire the person that fired me. The reason is because so the company is very niche. We're in spaces like hospitals, military, neurologist office, specialists that deal with brain injury, traumatic brain injury, or balance disorders, dizziness, and things of that nature. So it's very specialized. And what I learned is that when I bought the company was so compartmentalized. Sales didn't know what engineering was doing. Engineering didn't know what sales was doing. So they didn't fully comprehend. And when you have that type of when you I'm getting tongue tied here. That is funny. But when you're not able to collaborate together, your company breaks down. And I see that still today. Even organizations, even within families, and communication and collaboration is so important. Even within churches, I see that. So the reason I didn't fire them is because these are the top scientists and the top doctors and the most respected in the industry. So what I did is I made sure that we were all able to collaborate and work together and know what every department is doing. So I bought the company in 2010, so it's over a decade ago, and we're still the number one company in the world in our industry. And again, it's very niche, but that's what we do. And I'm passionate about it because I know that we're helping doctors help their patients and provide better patient care through the work that we're doing by providing them the tools that they need for diagnosing and for treating.
That's good. So once you purchased the company and you talked about how you kept them on and because they were the top scientists, did they treat you any different? Like, how were they towards you when you purchased the company?
So when I purchased the company, I'll never forget the words of Dr. Scarpino. He's signing the final documentation, and he says, "You will never be disrespected again." And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "You just bought the company that fired you." And I didn't really look at it that. Now I did have that imposter syndrome, so I made sure that I gave ownership to the employees so that it's employee owned, and I didn't want to lose them. And I have an amazing team, very loyal. And it's a great, employee, and it's a great story and everything. But the reality, I'm being completely vulnerable with you, is I did have imposter syndrome of that. I'm going to lose everybody. They're going to say, "Who is this girl that just bought the company? She's not a doctor. She's not a scientist, et cetera, et cetera." And so what I did is I realized if you've got the same vision for the company, then we can work together. And a lot of times we lose sight of that. We tend to, okay, this person has a different viewpoint on this, or they don't agree with me on this, and it has nothing to do with the project that you're working on. So, say for example, church, right? The main Jesus Christ, right? The message, everything's amazing. And these people get caught up on little things. This person's not right, and they don't learn how to collaborate and work together. And that's what I've done, able to bring the team together so that we can everybody works in their lane for their strengths. And so they that, and then they understand, well, this is this, and they understand the importance of their area. Then everybody's able to work collectively together.
Good. So I know we talked about the company that you purchased that fired you. So what about you teach a resilience workshop? So what is all entailed in your resilient workshop, and what are some two key things that you tell women to do to bounce back from something traumatic that's happened to them?
So it's a process. It's not something that I can say in a sentence or two. But what we do is, I just got back from Cancun from doing an entrepreneur resilience workshop, the Resilient Entrepreneur, and I do one for students called the Resilient Student, and I have one for sales as well. And Resilient Leadership. So for example, what we do is we focus on, if I'm doing a workshop on entrepreneurship, I focus on ways how to scale your business so that you can either grow it, make sure it has that longevity, or be able to sell it. So whatever your goal is I work with people to make sure that they're able to scale their business and get to the next level. And some of these principles that I teach, they're all based on resiliency, because I believe that if you are resilient, you're going to be able to overcome obstacles, and there's keys to resiliency. So for example, one of those keys, say I'm talking about doing a workshop on self-confidence, for example. So I'll just throw this out. So say we've got a group of women, and they're struggling with self-confidence, with self-worth, with value. And I've actually met some very successful women. I was doing a workshop in Paraguay, and we were doing it with the embassy. And one of the ladies was worried about being let go. And she said, "I don't know what job I'm going to do next. And I really don't have the skill sets. This is only a job I've ever had." She had been there for years. So what I work on is, and this is something you can do yourself, is get a sheet of paper or write down 10 things you're good at. And maybe it's not even 10 things. Maybe you can only think of 3 right now. So what are 3 skills you have? And what are the struggles that I see when we give this assignment? For example, we work on this is they can't even think of 3 because they're so busy comparing their skill sets to everybody else's skill sets. And so what I say is, look at yourself, because you were given a gift by God with skill sets that were gifted to you and nobody else. Just as unique as your fingerprint is, just as unique as your voice box is, just as unique as your eyes are. Nobody has the exact same DNA that you do. And we have the same DNA that identifies us as humans, but there's a code in there, a genetic code that that tells you who you are. And if you're gone today, there will never be another one of you, ever, because no one has your fingerprint. And scientifically, we've proven that. So even if you don't believe in God, science has proven there is not another one of you. That's why we've got facial recognition. That's why we've got a voice recognition, eye recognition, even everything from our stance is so uniquely yours that God gifted you with. So these gifts that you take, they may not look like anybody else's gifts, but I tell you what, they are so special and they have value and they were given to you for a reason and for a purpose. So once you start to write those things down, and they don't have to be big or, you discovered some huge, scientific experiment or whatever. It could be something so simple as, you bake the best pecan pie there is. I mean, look at Cheesecake Factory. That's how it got started, is someone made amazing cheesecakes in their basement, and now they've got this massive company, Cheesecake Factories everywhere. So it can be something simple. What are the 10 things that you are good at? And look at that and embrace that. Those are your gifts. Those are your skill sets. Then what you can do is take those skill sets. How can I use these skill sets that I have to serve others? Because once you start focusing on helping other people, guess what? All your problems, all these, oh, I'm not good enough, or all these self-confidence issues, they don't mean anything anymore. All of a sudden they're on the back burner because you're so focused on helping somebody else reach their dreams and their goals with your products or your services or your skill sets. Maybe it's something as simple, maybe even if you're not in the workplace and you're just a stay-at-home mom, maybe you're good with kids. Maybe the next door neighbor needs help. Why don't you volunteer to babysit, or maybe cook a meal for someone, a friend who's sick or a family member who's sick? Maybe you're good at cooking. But whatever it is, or maybe you do have this amazing skill set or this amazing idea that the world needs, think about how you can tie in your skill sets with how you can better serve other people.
I love that. I love that. So I want to know how to now, your lane of brilliance is clearly business. You're a business consultant. How did you buy your company, the company that fired you? I just got to know. So tell us.
So when I got fired, I didn't think, oh, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna get revenge. I'm gonna go buy this company. No, I was hurt. It was painful. And I remembered my grandfather's words. My grandfather always said, vengeance is not ours, vengeance is the Lord's. And it's about forgiveness. And one of the things that I learned, and that's another key to resiliency, is being able to forgive. And there's some things that seem unforgivable. For example, what that man did to my kids. That to me was unforgivable. I had so much hate in my heart that I wanted him dead. And had he not lost parental rights, I might be in prison. But how does that make me any different from him? That makes me a murderer. According to the word of God, as a Christian, even thinking or hating someone is murder. But I might have actually taken the physical act. And so I had a hard time forgiving. That was not easy for me, but I did. And how I did it was I said, God, you help me to forgive because I don't know how. And I talked to God and I told him my feelings. And forgiveness, what I learned is not that the pain doesn't go away. It's not that the memory doesn't go away. It's that you don't wish vengeance on another person. You don't wish ill harm on them. And when you begin to pray for other people, that there's nothing better than that person having a change of heart and a change in their walk, because that means they will never hurt another person again. Has that person changed? I don't know, because he had a permanent restraining order. So that is permanent against, myself and the children. But I was able to forgive. So I took that, and I remember being in so much pain, and I was talking to Dr. Martin, a very good friend of mine that became my friend. He was a client, and him and his wife sort of took me under their wing and took me in as a family member. And I say that because they treat me like family. and I consider them part of my family. And I said, Dr. Martin, I lost my job, and I was crying and I was so sad. And he says, this is the best day of your life. And I'm like, this is nuts. Like, you don't understand how I'm going to take care of my kids. I'm going to pay for all of their expenses, the medical expenses for counseling and the therapy sessions we were going through. And he says, no, start your own company. So sometimes when we don't believe in ourselves, you need to surround yourselves with people who will support you. And as someone who comes from adversity, extreme adversity, I was born into the world through adversity. I understand that we tend to gravitate towards people who tell us lies about ourselves instead of people that want to help us, and we tend to want to push them away. And I say embrace them. If you don't have that faith in yourself, maybe borrow somebody else's faith in you. And that's what I did. He didn't give me any money, he didn't provide anything for me, but what he did provide for me was hope and that belief that you can do this. So I started to see, what products were needed in the healthcare space. I already had a lot of contacts with other manufacturing companies and with other engineers. And so what I did is I started a company, I got FDA clearance, and then I was able to scale it to the point where we did so well that I got noticed by the company that fired me. And I got a call one day and they said, are you interested in investing? So I said, well, let me see what the books look like. My accountant and we traveled over there, did an evaluation. And when I realized that I had done the majority of the sales when they were the most profitable, I said, I don't want to invest. I want to buy the company. So after 6 months of negotiations, I ended up buying the company.
Wow. So wait a minute. You got fired from a company, went and talked to your friend, was like, oh, and how many of us know that mastery over mindset it happens the most when we take what we know and make it work for us. Wow, wow, wow. So you went and you heard this, and how many of you have heard somebody say, it's going to be okay, just go do. And you're like, go do? Are you serious? Like, I just told you I lost my job. How am I going to provide for my family? You said, okay, all right, I cried my tears. What am I going to do? Okay, what do I have? You did your own self-assessment. You looked at what you already what you could do, evaluated some things, created a product, scaled that product, did so well with it, got noticed by the other company that you got fired from, went back and said, nah, I don't want to be an investor. Got invited back for an investment opportunity even. And you said, no, I don't want to invest. I want to buy it. Oh, I would love to have been a fly on the wall to hear that, just to see it. Like, look, your people talk to my people, and we'll keep it moving. And you bought that company. So clearly they were in a position they needed to be bought, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. That is fantastic. And so how old are your children now?
So my oldest is 30, and then 28, 26, and 24.
Or because I find that when you have the entrepreneur space, when you're a business owner, your family, somebody gets the bug. Hopefully somebody, prayerfully, at least one gets bitten with the bug. Have any of them been bitten with I want to have my own business bug? That's one. And then the second thing, I want you to talk to that, because there's somebody watching. Even if they're not watching right now, they'll be watching the replay. And they are somebody who is sitting on that thing that can get them they're sitting on that business, they're sitting on that product or service that can help somebody else. They're afraid to just jump in the water. I want you to talk to that person. I want you to tell them about how you did it afraid. And then I also want to know if talk about the child or the children who decided that they wanted to do something, and talk about that, because there's somebody else that may be someone's child or their age, and you tell them how they bravely stepped out on faith themselves.
Sure. So, like I mentioned earlier, having that sheet of what are your skill sets, or what ideas do you have and how can they better serve. So my daughter, she has a beauty spa, Green Hill Beauty, and she's very successful at it. She's very good at what she does, but she went to school for nursing. but that's not where her passion was. She loves makeup, she loves art, she loves, making women feel beautiful and teaching women how to make their eyes bigger, for example, and just bring out the natural beauty in them. And so she started her own business, and she even has her own product line and things of that nature. And I encouraged her. And a lot of family members were like, wait a minute, nursing is so much more prestigious than doing what you do, because she offers lash lifts and she offers makeup services and eyebrow, and she like remaps your whole eyebrows and redesigns them, and facials and those type of services. But that's where her passion was. And I told her, you know what, don't be ashamed of that. That is where your passion is, that is where your gifting is. Go for it. So I encouraged her, and she started her own business, and I'm very proud of her because she's very successful, and she makes a whole lot more money than she did as a nurse. So go after your passion, what you're good at. It doesn't matter what other people think about it, if they think it's a bad idea, because a lot of times family members will tell us, well, this is what we think you should do. Or a lot of times, I hear parents, well, I want my son to be a doctor, and you push that child to be a doctor, but that's not their passion, that's not what they want. And trust me, I've been in healthcare for 25 years. I've met a lot of doctors who do not like their job. They absolutely hate it, but they did it because their dad did it, or their dad and their mom did it, and they needed to do it too. So go into what your skill sets are. What's your passion? And maybe you have a passion, but you don't have the matching skill set. So you can build that skill set to match that passion. And then how can you serve others? And then that formula is a guarantee to give you that success. Now, I have another son. He's in the Army. He's serving our country, and right now he's stationed in Indonesia. He's in the Army. But he also has that entrepreneur spirit. And he says, Mom, I don't want to just rent an apartment. I want to have these apartment complexes. So I'm going to build an apartment complex, and then we'll live in one and rent out the other ones, and then keep going and building and building. So starting small. And so you can start small. Sometimes we have this dream for this big enterprise, right? And you can't see how you're going to do it. You don't have to start big. You can start small. Start with one thing. Start with, that area, and then slowly you begin to grow and grow and grow. So, a lot of times, in the motivation space, we hear just jump all in. But you also have to consider your family, your finances. So yeah, it's something you can start off as a side hustle, and then slowly grow that into what you want it to be.
So, Dr. Cosgrove, so tell me about this Dr. Cosgrove. Tell us when, how you became Dr. Cosgrove, and how do you how has doors opened up for you as a result of that?
So it's been wonderful. I got PhD actually with Les Brown, my good friend Les Brown. I love him. I just had a conversation with him on Sunday. So it was just a great experience. And you know what was so wonderful? The best part of it is I remember getting a letter of recommendation for the PhD program, and the one of the letters of recommendation came from one of the executives, one of the doctors who had fired me. And so just going through that process, I just like, you know what? I'm going to put this on my wall. And just that meant so much to me. And it was a great experience, and doors have definitely opened up for me, and I get a lot more respect than before.
Whenever any guest comes on, and so we got to make sure we do this. Hope every guest tells us if they could go anywhere in the world, and you have been a lot of places as a speaker, which has been fantastic. But if you could go anywhere in the world to relax, kick your feet up, have a good time, would it be where would it be? Somewhere cold, somewhere hot, the mountains, camping? What would it be?
Definitely on a hot beach. I just got back from doing a workshop in Cancun, and you know what? I could just live on that beach.
Well, there we go. A beach. Now you know now listen. Our guest, we had a guest a couple weeks ago, and she lives in a beautiful Caribbean tropical place, and she can't stand and born there cannot stand sand.
Wow.
Does
We need
not
to
like
swap.
sand. I
We need to
know.
swap.
She said she just took her son, her baby, there just for the first time. Her family was like, "You got to take him to the beach." I mean, you can. I know you don't like that. She said she cannot stand the feeling of the sand even on her between her toes and her, which is what all of us we do. We want to put our feet in the sand. So everything she just killed it for us right there.
I
Dr.
love it.
Dion.
I love it. I love it. Love the
Where
beach.
so where are you in the world?
So right now I am in Columbus because I had a meeting today that was last minute, but I am in Dayton, Ohio. I actually live in Washington Township, but it's considered Dayton. So
Okay.
Dayton, Ohio is where I live and
Okay.
work.
And when oftentimes because you're a speaker, so like your last couple of speaking engagements, what were the topics that you were speaking on?
Whoa, so I did the resilient entrepreneur. I did that in Cancun, um, and I also did I was invited to speak in London for Global Women magazine, and I spoke on uh, basically resilience. And I also spoke at a church recently on resilient roots. And prior to that, I was in Florida speaking at Full Throttle with Dr. De La Toro. So that's been, those are the last few things that I've done the last couple of weeks, and that's been a lot of fun.
So this that's a great segue into my last two questions, and hopefully I know you got questions as well. So I want to know who inspires you. Who's the one, or maybe more than one people? Who is the people that inspire you the most, and how do you transform the world?
Wow. Um, so, you know what? I get inspired by so many people. I can't say it's just one. Everyone I meet inspires me in one way or another. And I get my most of my inspiration from one book, and it's the Bible. That's where it's my go-to book. My daily reading that I do is from my Bible. But other than that, people I meet every day, and it could just be, an ordinary person. I was in um, where was I? It was in Cincinnati earlier this week, and I grabbed something to eat at Papados, and I just sat at the bar because I was going to be in and out before going to a meeting, and I met this amazing lady next to me, and she inspired me just with her joy and just she just had this beautiful spirit. So I get inspired by you know everyone. I mean, you ladies inspired me today, with your what 1 million lives impacted and how you're changing the world with your podcast. So that's what inspires me, and how I am impacting the world. I don't think it's just me. It's, a group of people. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Dr. Martin pouring into me and inspiring me. And that's why I think every word we say, it is so important, the people that we meet, because you can change someone's life by one word or one small action. I think about the action of my grandmother who said, "Don't pull the plug, just give me one more day." And had she not stood up with her faith and believing that her daughter was going to live, I wouldn't be here today. So many things. And so that's how I live my life. And through my speaking engagements, through my workshops, through my coaching, and through my business consulting, that is what I look to do, is to inspire others and to help them live their greater fortune.
That is so good. And I am truly inspired by your story today. But I do have one question for you. If you were able to go back and speak to your younger self, what would you tell your younger self?
If I was go, I would say that I have value, I have purpose, and that I do matter. And so do you. Everyone has a purpose, everyone matters. There is a reason for you to be here. The world needs you, people need you. So I know that there is greater fortune in your life and in your future.
I love that. I love that a whole lot. And you know what? One of the things, although you had your set back for a set up, as we like as we hear, you had that on the back on the front end. But I want you to talk, because there's a lot of, hey Terrence, there are so many people that are watching this, and they're in the throes of trying to, on their journey to try to grow their business, right? They're on the cusp of success. I want you to tell them about, like, what once you had success, right? After you got past the fire, and talk about a time that you had a setback and how you overcame it.
A time I had a setback and I overcame it. Well, that's when
After
I
you
got
got fired.
fired.
After you got
After I
fired.
got
After
fired.
you got
Oh,
fired.
there's been lots of setbacks. So I'll give you one because when you're a business owner, you've got, and you're dealing with, a lot of personalities, a lot of people, you're going to have setbacks in life, no matter what, because we can't control other people. We can't control what they say or their thought process because we have free will. And sometimes their free will impacts you. So I'll give you one example. When I had just bought the company, there were 10 owners. One of the owners had a huge manufacturing company in Hong Kong, and he manufactured a very small component of our device. So our device is very expensive. It's in the $30,000 range and up. And this little component cost around $750. That's what it would cost us to get it from him, and he was the owner of that manufacturing company. So after I bought it, I got an email, and it said, hey, give me 10% of the company. If you don't give me 10% of the company, then this piece is not going to cost you $750. It's going to cost you $7,000. So I was like, whoa, this is like blackmail. This is not cool at all. So I was pretty upset about it. And the good thing is that when I bought the company, I made sure we had enough of them in stock to keep us going. So I said, no, I'm not going to take your offer. And he's like, well, what are you going to do? And I said, this belongs to me. I bought it. I own it. Here's the contract. You need to send it back. And he's like, what are you going to do? Sue me? And this manufacturer manufactures some very big name brand components and electronics that you can find at Best Buy, at Walmart, at Staples. So very influential. And he's like, what are you going to do? Sue me? I own the judges in Hong Kong. Nobody, which is true. I'd lose, and I'd lose millions of dollars. So that was a huge, huge setback. But how I came back is I decided to redesign it and redo the schematics. And after I had invested, I would say around $350,000 on that process, a year had passed, and I get an email saying, hey, do you want to buy this? And we already told you we own it. And he didn't want those molds for that little component sitting in his warehouse. And I said, no, I own it. He goes, oh, okay, well, we'll ship it to you. And we just paid the shipping, which was like $7,000 because it came in a big freight, through the boats, and it's expensive. So anyways, we got it back, and that's how I was able to overcome that. But it was sticking to my principle, because I remember one of my board members saying, oh, we don't have an option. We're just going to have to increase our price. We don't have a choice. There's always a choice. If someone's trying to railroad you and put you in a position and you know that their decision is wrong, you need to stick up for what's right. it may not seem fair, and it wasn't fair, and you may have to struggle a little bit, but you need to stick with what's true and what's the right thing to do and not succumb to those type of circumstances.
That was fire. Because let me tell you, somebody somewhere, include all of us, are like, wow, like what would we do if somebody tried to do that? And you're passionate about it. The whole thing was like, no, you're not gonna back down. You're gonna you're gonna pivot. You're gonna
Mhm.
pivot. When you were saying, I was thinking about, I was at the Global Speaker Summit, and one of the the attendees, when we did like one session, we went around kind of engaging each other. She shared with me that has owned a hair care abuse salon, not abuse salon, hair care product, right, a store forever, right? But she said she had created a product, and someone stole basically the product, the I'm not gonna say the
Wow.
recipe. What is it? Right? The formula. They
Right.
stole the formula from her, so it devastated her. She thought that send my formula off to this company, they're gonna create this product for me. They stole the formula, and she just shut down for years because my mentor Trevor says that most entrepreneurs and business owners besides are frustrated for two reasons. One, they're addicted to the process, or they're addicted to the systems, or they're addicted to, right, those things, or they have the wrong tool or the wrong strategy. And for her, what she didn't have is she had any systems in place. She didn't patent her formula before giving it to someone. And even if you do, folks can do they do what they do. But it devastated her. But she since then, because you can tell she's really great at her craft, right? She uses her product. She looks fabulous. And she said, well, since then I have worked with some chemists, and I have created a new product. But she's so afraid to move forward because of what happened to her the first time. But we talked
Mhm.
about it, we prayed about it, and I said, you know what? Here's the deal. Here's the thing, you all, for all of us, we got two options, right? They say fear. We work in conjunction with fear, right? Right, and not in opposition, because you're not going to win. You're not going to win working in opposition of fear. You got to work with it. You feel it and do it anyway. You guys have heard that. Just okay, I'm gonna be scared, but I'm gonna be scared doing it. And here's the thing: she either you're gonna sit on it, you got this new product and do nothing, which is the same as not having one,
Right.
or you have this new product, pray about it, put some things in place so that you can in fact sue these people if they do it this time, right?
Right.
So, right, so but things will be different. But it was so, oh my gosh, it was so amazing. But that's powerful. Hope what you got. Thank you, Terrence.
Hey, Terrence. Good to see you.
Again, I'm just inspired by your story. It's inspired me, just to keep pushing. I sat here and I wrote down what you said about the 10 things, making a list of the 10 things about what you're good at. Um, and like I said, I'm just truly impressed and inspired by your story and what you're doing. So I just wish you continued success, um, and continue to get out there and just continue to do what you're doing.
Thank you.
So before Hope takes us on out, I want to just tell you guys that, and again, our mentor, Trevor's mentor as well, Trevor Otts, tells us that our gifts. He reminds us all the time that our gifts are meant to serve others and to provide for us. Again, our gifts are meant to serve others and to provide for us. Dr. Sherwood uses a whole analogy and talks about a whole gift, and about how, if you got a gift and it's sitting there, how we pick out a gift for somebody. I love how she tells the story. If you pick out a gift for someone and then you go over their house like a month or three or whatever, a year later, and there is that gift still wrapped up, sitting over in the corner, being ready to be re-gifted to somebody else after you worked all this time and you put all this effort into getting that gift for them. But the gift was for you. right? So God gave us all gifts, and we all have them, and our gifts are for us to serve other people. So even when you have to do this thing in fear, do it in fear, but do it anyway. So be amazing. And Dr. Marie Cosgrove, again, thank you for your yes. Thank you for your yes, and thank you for being amazing, and keep on inspiring, because you are inspirational and
Thank
very
you.
inspirational. So thank you. All right, Hope, take us on out.
Well, thank you all again for joining us tonight. I pray that you all receive some information that will just help you to transform your life. So if you are not sure of your gifts and your talents, write down that list. Write down the 10 things that you're good at and apply them and figure out how you can use them to help someone else. We all have a gift and purpose inside of us, and it is our responsibility to use that gift and that purpose that is inside of us. So allow your light to shine and leave a little sparkle everywhere you go. Good night, you all, and we will see you next week.
Hi, I'm Sharon Allen, and since I began my journey with Speaker Stephanie, the transformation architect and also known as the Tower of Power, I've gained so much more confidence. I've also been able to help other women with their life challenges, such as feeling stuck, divorce, and even loss. So if you want to increase your visibility or grow your business or even your confidence using your voice, I highly recommend that you use and work with Stephanie, because she is awesome and she is the best of the best. I mean, great beyond words.